Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to this Monday morning with Business Coach Malloy. And let's start with a celebration of what happened last night. I hope many of you stayed back uh, last night, like I did. It was close to 12 that I went off to bed. And I hope all of you, or many of you who stayed up last night, is right up there today morning on this 9th of March, ready to go that things can happen. Things can happen repeatedly by tweaking the business, by making some changes in the business, things can go right. You have to only be on the lookout for what are the things that you need to improve. So today we are on the marketing series episode 2 and defining your ideal market. Why our fastest growing businesses know exactly who they are for and who they are not for. The second part is absolutely critical. You cannot be what you want to be if you are going to target your wrong target audience. And that is the challenge which many businesses go through and which we're trying to address today. I have known of organizations who have said that my target audience is XYZ, but when an opportunity came up where the revenues were one third the original target market, we took a backward somersault and said, let's also do it. पैसा तो आएगा. That mindset needs to shift if you truly want to become who you want to become. So last week we started off saying with the marketing series with the most important shift in thinking. We spoke about that marketing is not promotion, marketing is positioning. It is the work of shaping how the market thinks about you even before the sales conversation begins. But this positioning can only become meaningful once something is very clear, and that is who are you positioning for, and what is it that you want to care about that market. Because if this one marketing mistake I see repeatedly across businesses, whether they're manufacturing, service, professional practices, or retail brands, it is this: they try to serve everyone. Now, that may sound inclusive, very ambitious, and sometimes even very practical, but in reality, it creates a problem. When you try to speak to everyone, your message becomes weak. And let me explain what I mean. Imagine someone asks you a very simple question: who is your product or service meant for? And most business owners respond like this: our product works across industries. We work with companies of all sizes. We cater to a wide range of customers. And while this may sound strength, from a marketing perspective, it usually means one thing: the business hasn't defined its target market. And I want you to pause for a moment and think about your own business. If someone asked you clearly, very directly, who are you best suited for, would the answer be immediately clear? Would it sound broad and slightly vague? And if the answer is clear, are you doing things which is contrary to that answer? Customers are not looking for businesses that say we do everything. Customers are looking for businesses that seem to understand their specific situation. When a company feels it understands your exact context, your exact problem, your exact environment, something interesting happens. Trust builds faster. The conversation moves quickly from introduction to discussion. You feel like you're speaking to someone who has seen this problem before. And that feeling is powerful. It reduces hesitation, it shortens decision cycles, it reduces price sensitivity, all because the customer feels understood. Now, why do businesses avoid choosing markets? Let's address the elephant in the room. Why don't more businesses define their ideal market clearly? And the reason is completely psychological. Entrepreneurs fear losing opportunities. When you say we specialize in this, it feels like you're excluding other possibilities. And the natural instinct is to keep the door open. But here's the irony: trying to keep every door open usually weakens the one door you should walk through confidently. Because the moment your market focus becomes sharper, three things happen almost automatically. Your messaging becomes clearer, your expertise becomes deeper, and your reputation grows faster. Focus builds authority. Let me share something that I often see in growing businesses. When businesses first start, they take whatever business comes their way. That is natural because that's at the survival stage, and survival is more than strategy. But as the company grows, patterns begin to appear. Certain customers are easier to work with, certain industries understand your value faster, certain type of projects runs more smoothly, certain customers become repeat buyers, and certain customers will consume enormous time and energy without creating proportional values. And this is where I really want you to stop for a bit, take a pause, and ask yourself which of your customers you are chasing who's consuming enormous amount of time and energy without creating proportional value for yourself. And if you step back and observe carefully, your ideal market often reveals through this experience. And many companies never pause long enough to see that pattern. They keep chasing, they keep chasing everything that comes their way without recognizing alignment. And this is where the easy customer comes into play. Let me ask you something mentally right now. Think about the customers you enjoy working with the most. Not necessarily the largest ones, but the ones where relationships feel smooth. The conversations are constructive, your team performs well, payments happen without drama, and there is mutual respect. And now ask the simple question, what do these customers have in common? Do they belong to a certain industry? Are they in a certain stage of growth? Do they operate with a similar mindset? Do they share similar expectations? And very often, the answer to these questions points directly to your ideal target market. Understanding the difference between possible and ideal is the most critical thing, and most businesses confuse these two ideas. The possible market is everyone who could theoretically buy from you. The ideal market is the group that benefits most from what you do best. The possible market may be large, but the ideal market is where you win consistently. And marketing is not about chasing possibility, marketing is strengthening probability. When your ideal market becomes clear, something subtle changes in your sales conversations. Instead of saying we work with many industries, you begin by saying we usually work with companies like you that face this particular challenge. And notice how the sentence feels. And I was with a client, with a prospect on the Friday in Ahmedabad, and we were talking about his business and etc. etc. He and his father were in the room, and I could sense that there's a disconnect. And the moment his father stepped out, and I said, "Is generational gap the biggest challenge for your business scale up?" And you would not believe, for the next 5 minutes, he constantly kept on laughing. And his only take was, "आपको पता चल गया?" मैं बोला, मैं तो ये हर बार देखता हूं, हर बिजनेस में देखता हूं, where on the face of it, the father and son enjoy a fantastic relationship, but behind that, there are multiple layers of disconnect. Notice how the sentence changed. The next thing I see, he probably is not ready for me for for getting a business coach on board, because his father will be the biggest deterrent. But the moment I stepped out, the first thing that he did was connected with me on LinkedIn. Somebody who was not willing to meet is now ready to talk. And that is my biggest win out of that conversation. He may or may not become my client, but he realizes that if ever he needs help, who is his Toma? And the only thing that I did was mention that one statement, that seems to be a conflict between generation, and I've seen that again and again, again and again. And this is where our customers start thinking, maybe these people understand our situation better than even us or others. And that is the power of specialization. Expertise comes from repetition. Another important benefit of focusing your market is learning. When you work repeatedly with similar customer, you start seeing patterns. You understand their operational realities. You understand the risks they face. You understand what success looks like for them. Over time, you begin anticipating issues even before they mention them. And that anticipation is what customers experience as expertise. Expertise is not knowledge. Expertise is pattern recognition. Expertise is going into the consultative selling. Expertise is all about telling people, I can see this from outside and this is what you need to do. Let me clarify something important. Defining your ideal market does not mean rejecting every other customer. Opportunities will come in from different segments, and sometimes you will take them. But your marketing energy, your messaging, your case studies, your conversation, your positioning should focus where your greatest strength is. This is not exclusion, this is strategic clarity. When the market is clear, marketing does become faster. And once your ideal market becomes clearer, suddenly many marketing questions become easier. What should we talk about? What problem should we highlight? What example should we share? Where would we build visibility? All of these decisions become simpler. Because the market you're speaking to becomes visible. Without that clarity, marketing always feels scattered. As we end today, I leave you with a question to think about. If your customer became known for solving one specific type of problem for one specific customer, what that would be? And the answer is the beginning of building your marketing strategy. We will go deeper, we will go wider. We will try to address all pieces of marketing because marketing is the most underused, under un, under sorry misunderstood, because it is extremely powerful tool. In our next episode, we'll move to the next layer. Once your market is defined, you will face competition. So the next question becomes, why should you choose that market? Or why should that market choose you? In other words, it would be all about differentiation. And that is what we will start exploring next week. Thank you so much for being with me on this Monday morning, on an exalted Monday morning. Proud moment for all of us. Yes, there are challenges. Crude has touched 120. Fuel prices may go up. A lot of export companies may struggle for a while, but to keep your head above water, keep your mindset going. Read the blog that I sent out on my Sunday read yesterday about bed versus ore, and you will realize that this is just the passing phase. Till next Monday, same place, same time. My name is Malay Chakravarti, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you in the next episode of the marketing series. Till then, take care, have a great week, and God bless.